Thanks so much for joining us today. This is really great. We actually is our first one, and we had over 100 people register, so this is great. And I want to definitely thank Supervisor Shamann Walton for being part of this. And so we're just going to give people a couple more minutes to sign on before we start. Actually, a couple more seconds, because I do believe in starting on time. It's actually 12:15, and we're going to go ahead and do it right now. So everyone, I want to thank you so much for being part of this very first One Bayview Speaks. We will be doing this twice a month, so watch your newsletter. And this particular first one is One Bayview Speaks on Politics with our district supervisor, Shamann Walton. Before I go ahead and introduce Shamann, I just want to share a little bit about One Bayview and why this is actually happening. So my personal mission is to empower people and communities to realize their full potential and manifest extraordinary success. And really, I took a look at all the work that I do, both in the social impact space, social media, marketing, et cetera, and in various communities, and really came together with this concept of One Bayview to be able to connect all the members of the Bayview in our neighborhood in meaningful ways. I mean, we all have these devices, we can all do things, but even with all of that, there's a lack of connection when it comes to how we actually want to work together to transform our own environment. And that's really what I'm taking a look at One Bayview for. So this manifests itself in a few ways. So number one, we actually started our newsletter that you all helped to name, called the One Bayview Insider. And this goes out to several thousand people in the 94124, specifically in Bayview, to connect us with all the good things that are good in the Bayview hood. A little while ago, we actually did a Shop Bayview campaign with the mayor as part of sort of this One Bayview umbrella. So again, the idea, how can we actually transform, get people back to 3rd Street, back to our main streets to sort of spend locally. And then onebayview.com, which you can actually see behind me, is coming soon. So really, we're taking a look at sort of launching not only a website, but a mobile site, a mobile app to sort of connect us around this transformation. And then lastly, to where we are today, One Bayview Speaks. It's a webinar series addressing issues of concern in 94124 and really helping us come together to share solutions. And this particular thing came to me because I have the luxury with what I do to actually go to a lot of meetings. And what one of my biggest frustrations is that people would schedule these meetings, especially government things, would schedule these meetings at 10 a.m., 2 p.m. when people are working with, and then say people don't care about an issue. That's just not true. We care. So I've come up with this different format so that we all can come together and connect, doing it over lunch, sort of 20 minutes of conversation, followed by 20 minutes of Q&A. And really, we're going to be drawing not only from what you sent in, but anything that you sort of mentioned today. So it's all over lunchtime. So with that, I want to say thank you. And I really want to introduce Shamann. Shamann's been great. Shamann was born here in San Francisco. He's lived in public housing. He's grown up in Bayview and Potrero Hill. He's worked in District 10 for a very long time, for decades really. He's witnessed firsthand the challenges that community faces, not only the new ones, but also the long-term residents. He really wants to work hard to sort of help us not only around issues of education and health, but incarceration, violence, and a number of other sort of issues. And with that, I'm actually going to let Shamann introduce himself and sort of share a little bit more about really why did you want to be supervisor?
Well, Anietie, first of all, I just want to thank you for this platform. I think it's exciting to be able to connect with residents and voters and people in community through technology. And so thank you for providing this platform for another opportunity to engage. I wish I could be sitting with all of you right now, but this is, I think, another vehicle for access. And so I appreciate you providing this opportunity and platform. The reason I ran for supervisor is someone who is indigenous to the district and who's worked in the district for decades, seeing firsthand some of the issues and concerns that exist for not only long-term residents, but also for new folks who are moving into the district and all of the opportunity that is available, somehow the southeast sector of San Francisco either get left out or we don't get the all-encompassing opportunity of the full benefit of what's on the way. And so as someone who's worked in the district for a while and who's from the district and able to work with city leaders to get things done, I felt that it was hard for me to just sit back and not step up and fight for this role so that we could do more in our neighborhoods and our communities. And quite frankly, I was also just approached by a lot of folks in our community and our neighborhoods and asked to step up in that way. And I wanted to make sure that I did right by my community.
No, that's great. And if you could just speak up a little bit louder so that folks at home can hear a little bit better.
Gotcha.
Totally appreciate that. So we're going into this we have this whole crazy political season, right? On the national level, and we'll sort of get back to that in just a little bit. But you know, in your first 100 days, what do you want to accomplish? Like, what are the 3 things that are just really, really critical for you to get done? And can you do it in the first 100 days?
Well, I think as we talk about the first 100 days, it's also important just to talk about the major issues that exist in our district, our city. So, and let me know if I'm loud enough, but fighting homelessness and making sure that our city is more affordable is major, keeping our community safe, economic opportunity, making sure that more comes into the district, into our isolated and disenfranchised communities, improving schools, transportation, and of course the testing, retesting, and cleanup of the shipyard, and making sure that people who live on the shipyard are safe and that the shipyard is completely safe as we move forward. And open space and parks are something that is big for us in the district. So I just want to make sure that as we talk about the first 100 days, which I do have a extremely detailed 100-day plan, that we also understand the overarching issues that we're going to be fighting for the next 4 years for everyone in our community. First 100 days is also really focused on quality of life issues and things that, to your point, we can actually get taken care of right away. So I've been laser focused on some of the transportation issues, and switchbacks is one of them. I truly feel that we can actually stop the practice of switchbacks in our first 100 days. Now, of course, we have broader transportation things that we want to focus on, more express bus service, connecting the commercial corridors, connecting to transit centers, connecting to downtown, and running all through our neighborhoods and our communities, and making sure Muni is more efficient and moving faster. But stopping switchbacks is something that I think we will take care of in our first 100 days. I met with Muni after this construction of the raising of the platform due to the Warrior Stadium. We're going to have more dedicated cars. We're going to be able to have dedicated cars who can turn around, more operators who are being trained and being prepared to come in and work on the T. So we have been told by Muni that we're going to be able to stop switchbacks. Of course, we're not talking about if we have mechanical issues and things like that, but the practice of switchbacks in the southeast sector of San Francisco is something that we're laser focused on stopping in the first 100 days. Also, alleviating illegal dumping. We've been working closely with DPW and Recology. There's investigators out there trying to catch folks dumping illegally with Recology. We're working on a dedicated cleanup team that comes out in the middle of the night as well, like they do in other parts of the city, so that DPW comes out, they do pick up trash, they do clean up after folks have illegally dumped in our streets. But then you wake up the next morning and you see the same things. And part of that is because that illegal dumping continues. And for some reason, people think and feel it's okay to dump illegally in the southeast sector of San Francisco. So we're working on that right now, working on businesses putting up cameras and making sure that we can catch folks who illegally dump. Also prepared to come up with legislation that'll help stop illegal dumping. So talking about taking away business license for these small contractors and these businesses who are dumping illegally on our streets, and even in some cases impounding cars, because we're not going to let the southeast sector be treated like it's a trash dump. And we're going to make sure that we fight to stop that from happening and alleviate that so our streets can look like they're supposed to, like other areas of San Francisco. And that's a major fight for us in the first 100 days.
Shamann? So we had a couple questions. Can you explain exactly what a switchback is?
So what happens is what you're told is that if other areas of San Francisco have a higher concentration of ridership, it may be slower in the southeast sector, then they'll turn around and go back to the west side and pick up passengers. They also say that switchbacks happen because there may be mechanical issues and things that keep the trains from coming through and finishing the route. And then what happens, they don't come and finish the route in Bayview. They don't finish the route in Visitation Valley, where a lot of people of color live. And I think it's an institutionally racist practice because it's not happening all over San Francisco. It's happening in other areas, but they have not focused on fixing that. And I feel it's truly operational and it's something that we can take care of. So what they need to do, of course, is have dedicated cars coming from the other side so that if you're going to turn around, there are cars picking up people to finish the route so people can get to work, so people can get to their families. Also, eventually fight for a dedicated bus line to come back down Third as well to support the T and make sure that we can accommodate passengers if for some reason a mechanical issue does occur, a medical emergency occurs, and we can still get families home in Bayview and Visitation Valley and finish the entire route. But that has to stop, and it's been something that's been plaguing us since the T-line started operating, and there's nowhere in the world we should have service stop coming through a few communities and a few neighborhoods in our city.
Yeah. So I personally want to say thank you for that. And also, if you're on the chat and you've experienced this, just type in, yeah, this has happened to me. I've been on that platform right at 22nd and Cesar Chavez, and it just stops, right? And then you either have to get off or it doesn't come. It's insane. So things like that are they just make me angry, and you. And so I really actually appreciate that you're actually trying to take a look at this in the first 100 days as far as what can really be happening.
We have some long-term transportation issues and infrastructure issues in the district that obviously have to be solved. But this is something I see clearly operational that the leadership of Muni can solve with the right directives and put the right folks in the right place so that we can eliminate this. So we're not going to sit back and let things that are clearly operational continue to happen on our watch. And so we're laser focused on that. So stopping the switchbacks, alleviating illegal dumping, and then keeping our community safe with, of course, trying to expand their community ambassadors program, working on prevention, opportunities for our young folks, more jobs, more things to do in our community so that people are not feeling desperate and doing things that are legal, and also working to get officers out on the foot beat, community presence, working and building relationships within community, and having a presence there that is positive, because the more positive presence that we have from police officers in our community, the better for our neighborhoods and a bigger deterrence. And so we are going to be fighting hard to make sure that those things happen in our first 100 days. And in some cases, things are already happening. We are seeing some improvements, some higher concentration of support, working on the budgetary aspects of getting more community ambassadors out in our community, people from the neighborhood who are helping the community be vigilant, who can actually approach some of our folks in the community and have conversations about what do they need, so they may feel more empowered to be positive and do positive things, and also look out for community and have relationships with all of our neighbors. And so we're working hard on those areas right now.
That's great. And I think for me, if we can sort of go back to the illegal dumping a little bit more, what could we do? Because I know, and folks online, chime in on this one too, if this is something that frustrates you. I called 311 about illegal dumping, and I'm sorry, I got to work, right? People have to do the things they got to do. And how do we actually follow up? Because I'm personally sick and tired of calling like I think I should, and getting sometimes a really nice person on the other end, but there's no action taking place, that the dumping has continues to happen. No one's come out to clean it up. It's almost as if I'm just frustrated. No one's listening on the other end. So what can be done around illegal dumping there, around sort of reporting, and then how do we actually follow up so that, we know, outside of, oh, it's cleaned up, which is great. That's exactly what I want. But then if it's not, what's the next step?
Well, I would say, one, continue to call 311. It is their job to make sure that they get in contact with DPW and folks come out and clean up the areas where we see trash and are complaining. And I will say that when we do contact DPW, they do get crews out there and they do clean up. But again, the illegal dumping happens again overnight.